Welcome back to the Centre Half Bench podcast. After 314 games, 2,817 goals, 95,000 disposals, 1 positive coronavirus test, 29 coronavirus suspensions, we've got to the final game of the year, the grand final between Tigers and Cats. The AFL has done a great job of getting this season to the grand final. Anyway, enough talking. Let's rip into it and give you our 2020 grand final preview. So Sasha, Tigers versus Cats. It's Saturday night, 24th of October at 7:30 at the Gabba for the first time out of Victoria. Who do you reckon will win?
I've got the Cats winning, and I see the Cats winning because the Cats have looked really, really good since the finals started. They played Port Adelaide first round of the finals, lost that, but when you look at it, they would have won if they kicked accurately. I believe so, and I think the AFL world should believe so. I think they're really hungry to win it. It's been 9 years since their last flag, and the last time they won a flag was an all-Victorian grand final. And I think it's going to be a big game. And after last week's performance against the Pies, they shouldn't be dropping off this week.
You mean the Lions, where they won by 40 points? Yeah, all good. Anyway, for me, I have the Tigers winning. I reckon they're too experienced and too strong in finals. During the year, we have seen them have a little bit of an inconsistent, iffy season. But once they get to finals, they hit another gear. They go up a level, and they're one of the best finals teams, I reckon. So if they can get their chaos ball moving and that high-pressure, high-intensity finals game, I reckon it's over for Geelong, and Geelong can't do much once Richmond get that going. But for each team to win, for the Tigers, they need to play the fast chaos ball style that allows their contested ball and hard running to shine. Whereas for the Cats to beat the Tigers, they need to control that ball movement and limit it from being chaotic, like the Lions did in week 1 of finals. And then as the Cats being the number 1 contested ball team this year, they need to win the ball during that chaos style, and then they need to slow down, take their time, soak up the pressure, and when they're ready and tomahawks up forward, they need to launch into attack.
Yeah, for me, for the Tigers, they got to hunt and attack the footy like they always do. And like you said, they have to play that chaos football type game that they love, and they just purely dominate the football with. Because if they get that game style going and Geelong can't get theirs, it's going to be a long day for the Cats and Cats supporters. And for the Cats have to, I can't stress that enough, have to play that kick mark type football that stretches the game out and just tires out opponents because they have to run more. Literally, if it's short and sharp, the players are only running 2 meters. But if they're kicking it and they're spreading along the ground, it's going to take up a lot more of the Tigers energy. And also another thing, I think it might be underrated, but I think they also got to play through their supporting cast as much as their superstars in Hawkins, Danger and Selwood, because you're only as good as the worst player on your team, they say. And I believe that if they want to win this, it's a full team effort, especially to beat Richmond. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. And if the Tigers do get up, they need this young man, Noah Bolter, to fire. He's the only Richmond player in their prelim team that had not played in a grand final. He's going to take on Hawkins, who tore apart Collingwood in that 2011 grand final that they won. He needs to take Hawkins out of the game, and then if needed, he needs to transfer to Danger up forward, where he can use his athleticism and power and maybe beat Danger, who is one of the most explosive and dangerous forwards and midfields in the comp. Whereas for the Cats to win, they need Danger in his first grand final at any level of football. He needs to will his team over the line with his heart and soul. He needs to grunt and fight for that ball and just set an example for his team. He needs to be explosive in the mid, and then when he goes up forward, he needs to attack the ball hard, throw his body at it like we saw against Collingwood. Whereas the last gamer in Ablett, he needs to continue his red-hot finals form. And yeah, Geelong have 15 players that are playing their first grand final based on prelim teams compared to Richmond's one. So blokes like Gary Ablett and Danger, they need, with their leadership, they need to lead those 15 first-time grand finalists and just, show them the way in such a high pressure and high intensity game.
Yeah, for the Tigers, I've got Basher Hooley. He's an amazing grand final day player, I believe so, and he's been one of the better players in the last couple of years to play in the grand final, I believe. He probably should have already had two Norm Smith if it wasn't for Dustin Martin, and I still think he got robbed in 2017 of it. And all that chaos football, it starts from him off their halfback. His run, carry, and kick off halfback, and just clean ball usage starts everything for the Tigers. And if he's on, the back line really have someone to rely on that they can kick the footy to, and it's going to hit a target, whether he kicks it, whoever he can kick it to. For me, the Cats, Mitch Duncan's got to step up. He has to step. He was in the 40-man squad for All Australian. He was one of, I want to say, 4 or 5 players for the Cats to make that 40-man squad. And he's had one of the best seasons of his career so far. And after that game against the Pies, I know it was a couple of weeks back, but he absolutely torched us for 30 touches and I think a goal or 2. And made Levi Greenwood, one of the premier taggers in the league, look absolutely silly. So if he's on and he's getting the footy and he's doing all the right things for the team, I think that it's going to go a long way, and it's going to help the Cats immensely.
Yep. And now, instead of footy stocks in this episode, because it's a bit different, it's a preview only of the grand final, we've replaced it with bold predictions. So in this, we'll basically say predictions for each team that are a little bit unlikely and a little bit out there, but something we see could happen and something that will decide the outcome of the game. So on that note, for me, I've got the Tigers. My bold prediction for the Tigers is that Marlon Pickett is very quiet, under 15 touches. He won't repeat last year's form in that grand final in his very first game, and coming up against the likes of Menegola, Duncan, Guthrie, all those supporting cast, like you said, and then the big stars in Danger, Selwood and Ablett, they've got him covered. I don't reckon he will have much of an influence, and I think that, that grand final day out last year won't repeat itself. How about you? What about you for the Tigers?
For the Tigers, I've got Castagna having a massive game. He loves the grand final, and although last year he kicked 0 goals, 5, if he put those all away, he's probably winning on Norm Smith. He also had 20 touches on top of that and 7 contested possessions. Those are last year's grand final stats. He is definitely a big game player for the Tigers, and especially as a small crumbing forward, he's very elite for what he does to that team. If Rewalt and Lynch drop it or they bring it to ground, he's there. He just has to provide that crumb off the package and the stoppage in that forward line. He's going to change the game in that forward line for those small forwards, I believe so.
Yep. And for me, for the Cats, my bold prediction is Danger is going to play out of his skin. He will wheel them over the line. I'm tipping him to have 3+ goals and 20+ touches. He's the type of player that's built for big games. Like I mentioned before, you saw him before that prelim. He wanted blood. He wanted that spot in the grand final. He's never played in any grand final before, and he is going to want it. Nearing the end of his career, he's about 30. He's only got a couple of years left, so he's going to put everything into this game like it's his last game, like it is for Ablett, and he's going to wheel them over the line and play out of his skin.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. But for me, it's the other Cat superstar, and it's Joel Selwood. I think he's going to have an absolute blinder of performance. And while being the most experienced player out there, which is actually which is rare when he comes against playing against a Richmond side who's played in 3 of the last 4 grand finals. He's playing in his 4th granny, and I believe he will go for Norm Smith. And speaking of Norm Smith, Jai, who do you have for it?
Yeah, for me, I'm tipping Dusty. Even if he's not best on the ground in that game, like Basher Hooley could have taken it in 2017, and maybe even Marlon Pickett last year, but because some media's voting and you got blokes like BT and Bruce McAvaney, they're going to love Dusty. Even if he only kicks a couple of goals and only has a handful of touches, he's going to get it, because in my opinion, they're a bit biased looking at you, Bruce, but yeah, I'm tipping Dusty.
Yeah, for me, I said it before. Joel Selwood. I wouldn't be surprised if Danger was to win it, but I think Joel Selwood is going to have an amazing game and just show why he is the player and the leader he is, and why he's built for big games. And this is definitely one of the biggest games of his career so far.
Yeah. And on to the first goal for the game. A little stat here is 7 of the last 8 grand finals, they've been lost by the team that kicks the first goal. So going with that, I'm tipping Geelong to kick the first one because I think Richmond will win, and I've got Gary Rowan kicking it. He's a good mark, he's good at ground level, and I expect him to kick the first goal, but I reckon he'll be pretty quiet after that. How about you, Sash?
Yeah, for me, I got Brian Myers to kick it, so I'm on the same page as you with the Cats play kicking the goal. I believe his the goal he's going to be kicked is either one of two ways. Either the ball gets out the back and he's just there because that's where most of his goals usually come from, or the ball hits the ground and he crumbs it at the bottom of the pack and uses that unorthodox kicking style and kicks the goal and sets off the grand final for the day.
Yep. And for our final verdicts, I reckon the Tigers are still going to win. They're too strong and too good. The Cats have to do a lot in order to get an advantage over them and beat them. And in my opinion, it's easier for the Tigers to win. So, yeah, I'm tipping them for that reason.
Yeah, for me, got the Cats. The Cats are going to come out hungrier, I believe so, and more willing at the footy, and they're going to kill the game. And the game is going to be one of the better grand finals in recent grand final history. I don't think it'll top the 2018 one, although we don't like to talk about it. But I think it's going to be a very good game. But it'll definitely be interesting. Anyways, thank you guys. It's the last preview of the year. Thanks everyone for tuning in for the season. So for the season of 2020, it's definitely a different one. What are your predictions for the grand final? Let us know in the comments. We can't wait for the review of the grand final. Hopefully the game's good. Anyways, peace in the Middle East. Have a good one.
Audio Jungle.